lineman would be about this fight. 2013 Chris Davis would be about this fight. 2016 Chris Carter would be about this fight. Mechanical engineers would also, and it's a bit of a stretch, they'd be about this fight. You know why, Matt?
Robocop?
Because this fight is about power. All it is about power. That's all that matters. And when it does come to this matchup, you have Chidi Bang Bang and Njokuani. Michael C. Williams always used to love to stick it right there when he was fighting with Bellator, taking on Robocop Gregory Rodrigues. These two guys have knockout power to the nth degree. When it comes to Chidi Njokuani, while his brother Anthony kind of really laid the mold out in terms of I'm a striker, not a grappler, Chidi Njokuani's rounded things out a little bit more with his defensive grappling, but he very much is about his striking and his power. And for Gregory Rodrigues, you might go, well, all this guy does is box and bang and throw power shots. He's actually a world championship level grappler. His jiu-jitsu is great. His judo throws are great. We just don't get to see it. And if you watch Gregory Rodrigues in his last fight against, holy smokes, Julian Marquez, Matt, he beat the fuck out of him. Like, he dropped him 3 fucking times and never let his foot off the gas.
Do I look impressed? Everybody and their mom predicted him to do that to him. Yes, he looked really good, but the thing was, I'm almost certain we both said Gregory Rodrigues was not only going to win that fight, but by stoppage.
Oh, yeah.
That's the problem for Gregory Rodrigues, and I really enjoy watching him fight. He is a very crisp boxer. He does have nice power in his hands. He just doesn't fight like how he probably should fight if he wanted to get to the top of the rankings. And the weird thing in saying that is, if he fights like his foundation would suggest, he'd probably have a really easy time with a guy like Chidi Njokuani. They're polar opposites. He's a great jiu-jitsu ace. Just get it on his legs, take him down, rinse and repeat, easy dub. But the fact that Gregory Rodrigues does showcase a lot more of his striking, a lot more of his boxing, than he probably should, if we're being honest, even though it is very good, don't get me wrong, does leave a world where Chidi Njokuani has another 20-second finish like he did against Marc-Andre Barriault. Because for Chidi Njokuani, he's interesting, and this is where I think he can win and lose the fight. He's one of these pinpoint strikers where he's going to put everything behind his shots. He's going to wait for you to leave an opening where you make a mistake. He's going to capitalize on it to the fullest of effects. If Rodrigues can get him up against the cage, though, and make him really consider, okay, move left, move right, worry about the takedown, worry about headshots, make this a test, not just an MMA fight, I think that's where Gregory Rodrigues can have a lot of success with his own boxing combinations, because even against Marquez is a big guy for the weight division, he's a tough guy, we've never seen him finish like that before. Gregory Rodrigues was able to get the middle of the cage and really establish that early against Marquez. And when he was able to move him back and cut the cage off, he was giving him a lot of trouble. Now, and I'll even call myself out, there is a big level difference in levels of striking between Chidi Njokuani and Julian Marquez. Julian Marquez is very basic with his boxing. He throws damaging shots, don't get me wrong, but they do not come with nearly as much speed or power as the strikes of Njokuani do. The real question mark is, though, will Rodrigues decide to shoot for any takedowns? Because if he does fight this fight like he would a grappler, just go in there, shoot for takedowns, try to use your jiu-jitsu, it might keep his head out of danger for some of those big power shots of Njokuani. On the flip side, though, Rodrigues is going to have to close the range somehow. He really is primarily a puncher in a lot of his fights. He'll throw an inside leg kick every now and then, but it's kind of labored if we're being honest. It's not the best of strikes. Again, his foundation for striking really is the boxing. So if he does go in there trying to work the jab behind somebody who can kick, who can knee, who can throw their own jab, and who is even rangier for the weight class, it's going to be really hard for Gregory Rodrigues to showcase those striking skills, even though they've been really good in the UFC up until this point.
I mean, put it both ways. Like, Gregory Rodrigues has a 2-round fight of the night against Jin Young Park, where they went rock'em sock'em robots. He has that crazy win over Julian Marquez, where he went rock'em sock'em robots, and Julian Marquez went... And if you look at it for Chidi Njokuani, lost to Jeremy Kimball, where he gets finished on the ground. Jeremy Kimball ended up into the UFC. Lost to John Salter, who is a very good middleweight, don't get me wrong, but on the ground, he has struggled against some of these very good pressure grapplers that get him to the mat and doesn't really have an answer defensively to a lot of the submission threats. Can't stress it enough. Gregory Rodrigues, when he decided he wanted to grapple against Armen Petrosyan, had a lot of success in that fight. Loses that fight based on the speed and precision of shots of Armen Petrosyan. See where these things are going right here? So there's a lot of comparables career-wise where you can go with this. 2 years ago, Gregory Rodrigues was a stepping stone that Jordan Williams needed to get into the UFC, and Jordan Williams knocked him out in the first round. Who's to say Chidi Njokuani can't do that in this matchup? These are the things that you have to look at when you focus on this fight, because both guys are power punchers. Both guys possess that from round 1 to round 3. Both guys can go in there and have a firefight. Yeah, it could happen. There's X factors to their games, and one, it's the grappling of Gregory Rodrigues if we see it. And two, Chidi Njokuani, pinpoint striking and power. Gregory's lost that in the past and vice versa.
I think this is a fight, though, where you're going to look bad no matter what you say. Like, if I get Gregory Rodrigues to make this fight look ugly, use his boxing, mix in a takedown, and win a gritty decision win, Chidi Njokuani's probably going to flying knee him or spinning wheel kick him and knock him out. And if I say Chidi's going to win, Gregory Rodrigues is going to make it that really tough, gritty fight that we know he can. But this should be a fun fight. It very well could be, even though it's closely matched, it might be a one-sided fight by the time we get there.
All I'll say is the winner should get somebody like Brad Tavares or Kelvin Gastelum. Neither one of those guys have fights, and we're getting really, really close to the rankings. So when we do look at the odds here, Njokuani opened a -140 favorite. Close to par, -105 in Njokuani now. Rodrigues open +125, -115 or thereabouts. So we have a look at the fan vote. On Tapology, it's no surprise, or it is a surprise to us that it is to you. If it was no surprise, it wouldn't be fun to do this. But me saying no, I put the horse ahead of the cart. I have no idea where it's going to be. So I'm going to say over-under...
Just put it at 50.
Well, okay, I'll put it at 50. Over-under 50%.
So Gregory Rodrigues is the favorite right now in the odds, even though it's basically a pick'em. But I do think Chidi Njokuani, being more of the knockout artist, having more of a highlight-type style, I think he'll be the favorite.
880 total votes, 60% in Njokuani, 84% by knockout. For the 33% that have Rodrigues, 21% by submission, 47% by knockout. So the fans think that there's going to be a finish. I think there's going to be a finish too.
I would agree with that.
So the pick out of this one, it's really, really tough. And like you said, you're going to look stupid either way, right?
I almost just said Chidi Njokuani, and I was going to pick it with a lot of confidence, but I can't pick it with a lot of confidence. I have Bang Bang to win this fight, but by the hair of my teeth, because I really do think Gregory Rodrigues, if he uses his clinch, if he does try to wear on the arms of Njokuani, can diminish some of that knockout power. And if Njokuani can't knock him out with one shot, has to get into some more elongated exchanges, especially on the feet, that's going to force Gregory Rodrigues to realize, hey, maybe I should stop punching and start going for a takedown, and it's going to help him get back into the fight. Ever so slightly, I'm going to pick Njokuani, but again, this is a volatile matchup that could go either way.
I look at Gregory Rodrigues, the strength of training partner that he's had here recently at Killcliff FC, and we talked about one of these guys earlier on in the card, Marc-Andre Barriault, as being a good guy to train with, and you have Yusaku Kinoshita that we saw on Dana White's Contender Series as well. Somebody that, not emulating Njokuani, but working on your game plan to really try and close that gap to make Njokuani less of an active striker, and Barriault's the perfect guy, because he found out the hard way that it's really hard to do that.
I just don't think Barriault and Rodrigues are cut from the same cloth at all.
Matt, they train with each other.
No, I understand they train with each other, but Barriault's going to use his striking to immediately try to get into the clinch to then work his grappling.
Gregory Rodrigues is
going to strike a lot more for striking's sake. That's why I picked Chidi.
Gregory Rodrigues has tight boxing. He can close the gap with that, utilize that great judo and that jiu-jitsu. I think this is the fight where he comes in with a complete skill set and he comes in with a complete mindset that I can't just strike for strike's sake with Chidi Njokuani. So for me, I like Robocop with that. And Matt, this is one of these rare fights that we threw out there ahead of time and we put it out there in the YouTube community section. So we couldn't figure out where the fan vote was. 51% in the community tab have Njokuani, 49% have Robocop. Derek Rivy is saying, Robocop's one of my favorite fighters. Love pretending when he's in the cage like, citizen, stand down. And he's whooping ass. Complete coin flip as to who to pick. Chad the UFC dad saying, gonna be a great fight. I have Gregory by ground and pound round 2. Let's try and find somebody who's got Chidi. Brenster saying Chidi by first round knockout. The one and only saying Bang Bang by round 2 TKO. And Bananas and Grapes with a picture or an emoji of a robo and a picture of a cop car. Matt? Fans are split. We're split on the picks. So you let us know in the comments section down below who you have. I have Brazil's Robocop. Matt has Bang Bang. Chidi. Bang Bang. And Njokuani. It's going to be a great fight. And really this sets the table. And whether or not this is the co-main event or we end up with Sadiq Youssef versus somebody, because of course Giga Chikadze is out of that matchup, we will let you know. So keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. And as we always say, let's get into it.